Pauline Hanson is the Leader of One Nation in the Senate, and she represents the good people of Queensland. She joins us now from Canberra. Nice to have you there, mate. Sorry to keep you waiting, but I had a bit to say tonight. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, all good.
A man who ran away from the Senate because he just couldn't be bothered hanging out with the Greens anymore, the former Labor leader in the Senate, Communications Minister and so much more, is Stephen Conroy. And a man who, well, you know, he's more than happy to be outside of the Parliament, the former Howard Government Minister, former broadcaster and dear mate of ours, well, one of the kings of Brisbane, the great Gary Hardgrave. Gary, good evening to you.
Good evening, Sir Paul.
All right, well, Stephen, we'll start with you. Why is this the crime of the century, and why is the Prime Minister involved in a Nixon-esque cover-up for Angus Taylor?
Well, look, I have to confess, I had some sympathy with you, Paul, on most of that intro about when you hit the Ukraine and Donald Trump. I thought you jumped the shark.
Mate, the Labor MP who tweeted that gave me the idea.
Yeah, he might have given you the idea, but he didn't make the same direct connection. I know Julian, and he was, to be fair, taking the proverbial. But look, I think the Prime Minister just showed poor judgment. I mean, when Jackie Trad, in a similar situation, picked up the phone to the CJC chair to say, hey, I'm phoning you because I'm going to refer myself to you, everyone came down on a hard and said, very, very dumb. So I think the Prime Minister could have gone a number of different alternate routes, could have got his head of the department, could have called the New South Wales Police Minister, could have established the facts he needed to establish without making the call. It was just poor judgment. But his real problem is that he's defending a bloke that will not tell the truth about how he concocted a document and made false allegations in Parliament, in public, to the Australian people, hasn't come clean about it, hasn't apologised for it, and just hopes it is going to blow over by the time we get to the end of the sittings next week. And I think that's just leaving him looking flat-footed at the moment.
Pauline, we should be talking about the drought. We should be talking about the poor kids in Logan who get abused. We should be talking about the dairy farmers. We should be talking about everything else. But you've been sitting there in the Senate watching them go on and on and on and on about this. Do you believe this is the crime of the century?
Oh, it makes me sick the way this is wasted time and attacking. Look, I'm an ordinary Australian, okay? And if anything was going on that I thought someone may have been charged, I'd pick up the phone and say, what's going on? Tell me. And I've got no problems with it. It was a short conversation with the Commissioner. He did the right thing, saying, well, what's going on? I don't know. I wanted to find out. There's no problem about it. I have found in this place, it's constantly witch hunts. I have found that when we got elected again, One Nation, into this Parliament, the Labor Party, Murray Watt, was set up as the attack dog against One Nation. They kept making allegations. They kept in estimates all these allegations about what we had done. They have all been investigated. Nothing has been done wrong. But it's putting it out there to the public because the media picks it up. They like to have a go at you, try and discredit you in the eyes of the public with no truth in it whatsoever. So this is what politics is all about. It's about gutter politics, attacking each other. And this is why the people are fed up with politicians. Get out of the bloody gutter and start working with the people of Australia, especially, as you said, Paul. We have drought conditions in this country. We have people suiciding. We have people just about losing their properties and their homes. They don't know where to turn to, and we've got this pathetic, to-ing and froing going on in this Parliament, and I can understand how people feel about it because I see it every day in here.
Well, it's this thing too, Gary. Well, what about this this mysterious new standard that apparently you must stand down the second an investigation is launched into you? I repeat, didn't happen for Gillard, didn't happen for Shorten, didn't happen for Tudge, didn't happen for Tomo, and we can go a list as long as your arm. Now, we all agree, if you get charged, obviously, but there's this little technique that happens in question time where as soon as you eventually run out of the story, you refer it to insert corruption commission, or because there isn't one at the federal level, off to the federal police. And then when they eventually send you a thanks for your correspondence, we'll look into it, it's a bombshell.
Yeah, and Paul, the news in Brisbane tonight is that Jackie Trad's likely to be facing another CCC inquiry, this time into the appointment of a principal in her school. That's a principal as in a PAL, not a PLE. So it's, so she's probably going to resign tomorrow. Not. Look, the Labor Party have one standard, and I mean, the problem that Scott Morrison has created for himself is he actually thought for a moment when he rang the New South Wales Police Commissioner that he was a Labor Prime Minister. Because you see, that's what the Labor Party do. They get on the phone. They do that kind of networking thing. But look, Morrison has, I think, made a mistake in ringing the Police Commissioner. I really do. I think that's an incorrect thing to do. However, it's not the end of the world. The Police Commissioner's word was very strict, straightforward and to the point. Nothing to see here, folks. Let's just move on. Pauline is 100% correct. We have just got to start getting government actually doing stuff for the people. We've actually got to start getting people talking about real water policy. We've got to start getting people doing real stuff about the drought. Paul, there are a lot of people in this country right now very dismayed about where government is at, and it's not a case of Scott Morrison, it's the Parliament. The Parliament is letting down the people. It's meant to be for the people. It just doesn't give a damn. And a damn is the word I want to use quite deliberately. Yeah. It's wrong.
Now, you thought I jumped the shark before with the Ukraine thing. Here is the headline on The Guardian right now. Scott Morrison refuses to release notes of call with New South Wales Police Chief over doctored document. It's exactly the same, and that's the part they're following. Stephen, look, I get it. It's about trying to back up your political opponent.
Keep up.
Fine, fair enough. I understand all of this. But let's also get straight into this here too. What about this nonsense where as soon as the police answer the phone, Minister must step down? Didn't happen for Gillard, didn't happen for Shorten. Remember, even in Shorten, and by the way, both cleared, in Shorten's case, people weren't even allowed to talk about it, not even to be discussed around the halls. Yet the standard here is, no, he must immediately stand down and do it while Parliament is sitting.
No, look, I think I get frustrated when both sides of politics, at state and federal level, their first resort is to write a letter to the as you said, insert corruption commission of whichever state or the federal police.
Yep.
I think the frustration that drives that. I mean, I was in politics for 20 years, and that was your last step in a sequence. But because, to take Gary's point, the Parliament is not doing its job properly, the questions of accountability have become further and further away. I mean, Angus Taylor has got to be accountable for what he did. What he did was wrong. Everyone accepts it was wrong. Someone has to take the blame for what happened. But because no one is prepared to take the blame, because ministers have become less and less accountable, and in this case even staff are not going to be accountable. It's like Michaela Cash, okay, and her office. Someone leaked something, but no one wanted to take responsibility. And because no one takes responsibility anymore, the simple, lazy way to go forward is to just write a letter to the police. And all sides of politics have been doing it, and it is debasing the political debate. But that debasement is caused fundamentally by a lack of willingness of politicians to take responsibility when they should step up. The buck stops here.
Well, and by the way, if we want to know how the National Corruption Commission would work, it'd work exactly like this, where I've sent X, Y, Z off, that's it, you must stand down, Senator, you must not speak, all of that business. That's the game that's being played here, is that it's not about rooting out corruption, it's about creating something that can, among other things, push on questions.
I've been a strong, passionate opponent against a federal IBAC for this exact reason. Every furphy, every concocted, confected story, both sides of politics will play it. They'll be referred off to the Federal Corruption Commission to be investigated. Correct. Step down while you're under investigation. This is going to be a farce.
Well, Canberra Bubble, consider yourself burst. More in a sec.